In this video, I will explain the concept of igneous rocks. So, initially, we need to understand what is the meaning of rocks itself. So, when we see various mountains or various valleys or even in plain regions also, we see different kinds of rocks. So, what constitutes these rocks? When we see the rocks internal structure, we can see different kinds of minerals present in them. In the rocks, different kinds of minerals are present in the rocks. So, suppose if in case these are all the few minerals, and because of the chemical bonding between these minerals and different kinds of minerals, these minerals constitute to form the rocks. Okay, just like how alphabets forms the words, we can see here the minerals will form the rocks. When we take the granite as an example, granite rock will have different kinds of minerals like quartz and feldspar. So these minerals, with the help of chemical bonding, will form the granite rock, right? So till now we have understood what is the meaning of the rocks, right? So how these rocks are formed? These rocks are formed because of the cooling of the magma that is present on the rocks, and we can classify these rocks also based on the origin. Based on the origin of these rocks, they are classified into igneous rocks, sedimentary rocks and metamorphic rocks. These are all the different kinds of rocks. So in this video we are specifically explaining about the igneous rocks. So igneous rocks, how they are formed? Igneous rocks are formed because of the cooling of the magma. So they are called as the initial rocks or the primary rocks, because these are the only rocks formed because of the cooling of magma, right? So what happens in the case of igneous rocks? When these igneous rocks undergoes the erosion or weathering, sediments will form, right? Because of the weathering itself, the igneous rocks, from the igneous rocks, sediments will form, and these sediments under compaction and compression will form the sedimentous rocks. When the sedimentous rocks and the igneous rocks undergoes to heavy temperature and pressure, they will form the metamorphic rocks. So we have understood three kinds of rocks: igneous rocks, sedimentary rocks and metamorphic rocks. So when these igneous rocks undergoes the erosion or weathering, we can get the sedimentous rocks. And if in case these igneous rocks and the metamorphic rocks, when undergoes heavy temperature and pressure, they will form the metamorphic rocks, right? And when these metamorphic rocks undergoes subduction, we can again get the igneous rocks. So this is a continuous cycle. So specifically in this video, we will explain what is an igneous rock. Igneous rocks. What are igneous rocks? When magma that is present in the mantle region, suppose when we take this as the mantle region and this is the crust region, right? So when this magma in the mantle region coming out of the earth surface through volcanoes or various other cracks in the earth crust, and the magma is cooling outside the earth surface, the rocks that are formed because of the cooling of this lava outside the earth surface, we call them as the extrusive igneous rocks. Suppose if in case the magma itself cooling in the earth crust itself, magma when cooling in the earth crust itself, we can get the intrusive rocks, intrusive igneous rocks, okay? Or when the magma is cooling outside the earth crust, that is on the earth surface, we get the extrusive rocks. So that is the classification of igneous rocks based on the cooling of the magma. The examples of the extrusive rocks are rhyolite, andesite and basaltic type of rocks. The examples of intrusive rocks are the rocks which are formed because of the cooling of magma inside the earth surface. They are granitic rocks, diorite and gabbro. These are the examples of intrusive rocks. Understood? So this is the classification. The first one is the intrusive igneous rocks, right? When magma cools deep inside the earth. That is, example is granite. So when we can see the extrusive rocks, just before as we have explained, formed when lava cools quickly on the surface, giving rise to the basalt. So these granitic rocks, which are very hard in nature, because of their very rigidity in nature, they are used in the temples building and making monuments or deities, that we do rituals to deities in temples, right? So the monuments of those deities and the temples and in the buildings, these sort of granitic rocks are used because they are very hard. And the basaltic rocks are formed because of the lava cooling on the surface of the earth, and they help in formation of more fertile soils. And in between these there is another kind of rocks, hypabasal or the intermediate rocks. So when the magma is cooled inside the earth surface itself only, but between the intrusive rocks and the extrusive rocks, those rocks are called as the hypabasal rocks. So for example, we can take the sill and dikes are the examples of these hypabasal rocks. So the magma is trying to come out through various veins or through the various cracks on the earth crust. Okay. So suppose while it is traveling towards the earth crust, the magma, if there is any horizontal cracks up that are present in the earth crust itself, the magma will reach there and will get cooled here itself only, because of which we can get the sills. And if the magma is solidified inside this vertical veins only, then we can get the dikes. So these are the examples of hypabasal rocks. So this is about the igneous rocks. So in the igneous rocks, we can classify them as different types based on the cooling of lava or magma.